Hey everybody, this is Amazing Fantasy Football. I of course am Josh, and that guy over there is
Chris.
and Chris. He is. I will start out with a little bit of a side note here that my week of work has been a little bit crazy, so I have been a little ill prepared. Chris is going to kind of take the reins a little bit on this episode, which is a-okay with me. I hope it is with all of you. But we're here to talk about some rankings. First off, Chris, I want to. No, we talked about that last week. Still hate e-bikes.
Right.
There was something I was going to bring up with you, and I completely just forgot. Like, my mind literally just went. Whoosh. Sorry, I'm still on this e-bike kick.
Have you been kicking? You've been kicking them? That's not right.
I want to kick people over that are on them. I just, oh my god, just get a real bike. I'm not going down this road again. I'm not.
No, we're not.
We're here to talk about some rankings. We're not here to talk about e-bikes and my disdain for them. I had a little I thought it was a funny side note, and I really don't remember what it was. But we are here to talk about some rankings. Chris, why don't you tell us how you're doing today?
I'm doing wonderful. It's Thursday. I'm looking forward to getting some little preseason watching later on. Life is good. Fantasy football's good, and season's getting close. Madden comes out tomorrow.
The sneezing is getting close.
Sneezing. No, right.
Yeah,
that's about it.
Okay. Do you know what Thursday is named after?
Don't know.
It is named after the Norse god of Thor. It was originally called Thorsday.
Like Thunder Day?
Friday was named after his mother Freya.
Ooh. That kind of rings a bell. I don't know why that sounds more familiar.
I believe Monday was originally named after Loki. It had something to do with Loon something, Loki.
Lunar moon, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah,
and
M-O-N.
Odin. Sunday was Odin's day, I think. Or maybe that was Wednesday. I can't remember. But yeah, Thursday and Friday are definitely Thor and Freya. Yeah, and the rest of them are loosely named after. I think it's like the German way, like pronunciation of all of them, not actually like the the Netherlands pronunciation of them. But yeah,
of said gods. Huh.
Yes. But anyways, I'm going way off topic. I'm tired. It's been a long week. I've had it's been just a lot of work this week. Let's put it that way. A lot of work this week. So I'm a little ill prepared, but I'm here to talk about some fantasy football because that is what we are here to talk about because we are once again amazing fantasy football. Chris is wearing an amazing fantasy football shirt. And you know what amazing fantasy football doesn't like? The Dallas Cowboys.
What is that?
Just like Spider-Man. Spider-Man doesn't like the Dallas Cowboys.
No, this is all lies. Amazing Fantasy Football loves the Dallas Cowboys because
I think Marvel just pimped Spider-Man out to the Dallas Cowboys. I think that's all it was. Some corporate fat cast was like, "Oh yeah, sure, you're gonna give us some money for the Spider-Man likeness." All right.
No, Marvel signed a deal with the Dallas Cowboys. That's what it was. Disney signed on the dotted line with the Dallas Cowboys because they're too huge.
You had that shirt before Marvel got bought up by Disney. Why don't you take us in with some news?
Actually,
how about that?
Whatever. It was still MCU. Yes, news. And the Cowboys are awesome, and so is what is else?
That's not news, nor is it factually correct.
It's the first line right here, Josh. You typed it out for me. I'm just making sure our audience understands.
I was very tired when I did that.
All right, news. Quick hitters here. Waller returns to practice. Tebow got cut. So for anybody out there, he's on your roster. You might want to.
You mean I can't be using Tebow's in my tight end position for my dynasty league? I thought I got him as a bit of a steal in the first round of my drafts.
Nope. Sorry for you. Same goes for Alfred Morris. He was released by the Giants. David Johnson with the Texans is a little unsure about his role. I'm hearing a little bit of noise about him maybe being a pass catching specialist. So, he's kind of low in the rankings anyway, but I think he's still kind of sniffing that RB3 territory. So maybe he'll come up later.
Yeah, maybe I need to.
And hey, it's just
we're here to talk about rankings, but maybe I need to drop David Johnson a little bit in my rankings, like
And maybe raise Lindsey because he'll be the guy on the ground. Is the impression
for
I'm
sure.
getting.
I mean,
But hey,
let's see
it's.
here.
I
Keep going while I
I
look this up. I have David Johnson at 32, and you have him at number 10.
that doesn't sound right.
Okay, I made that. I made that part up. You have David Johnson at. Don't even see him here.
I might have buried him a little. I
Now I
don't
have to
remember.
look it up.
I'll finish the news real quick. Justin Jefferson returns, limited basis. Should be heading in the right direction there. Deandre Swift, groin. He tried to return yesterday.
Oh, my groin.
Having trouble finding if he did return to practice on Tuesday. I do have a little bit of information on that. Folks, give me just a quick second here.
Man, you have David Johnson at 44. That's crazy.
I don't know. Even it's not important. There's a lot of concern on DeAndre Swift's groin injury. Some fans asked some questions. We got some responses from some guys chiming in, basically saying exactly what I'm going to tell you guys is the coach, Dan Campbell, is playing it, like he should. On one hand, if DeAndre is going to be a featured offensive weapon, we need to err on the side of caution. On the other hand, there's a lot of unknown right now, in terms of what they're telling us. From 2 weeks ago, this is directly from Dan Campbell himself. Quote, we're kind of working him in. We just want to make sure we're being smart with him. We'll get him his work. That's 2 weeks ago. From Monday, hopefully Swift is feeling better tomorrow and we can progress him in practice. From Tuesday, 2 days ago. Today we're going to do a little bit more with him off to the side, do a little walkthrough off to the. So it's all coach speak kind of. He doesn't have to tell us, So a little bit of
blah blah. Damn Campbell.
Yeah, right. A little bit concern there, but and I did lower him a little bit. We'll get into that stuff later. What were we looking at, Josh? Where we have David Johnson?
I have him at 32. You have him at 44.
Yeah.
You have him like super low. I mean, and you have Philip Lindsay at 50. So you're.
Wow. I might have forgot to raise Lindsay a little.
Okay. And here's the thing: is that
but I did lower Johnson.
Maybe 32 is a little too high for David Johnson in my rankings, and a lot of that is just like, I mean, you're potentially the starting running back for an NFL team. You maybe should be in the top 36, but if I don't know who your quarterback's going to be yet. If you're not going to be the starting running back for said team, maybe you really need to be below like right in the early RB3s, I guess, mid RB3s. I mean, you got them pretty freaking low, and there's some names that you have above them that I would much rather have the David Johnson for, but that's fine.
That I have above him?
Yes.
That sounds like we're on the same page. I'm confused by this statement. Anyway,
I said that backwards.
Okay, thank you. I was like,
I would much rather have David Johnson over the guys above him.
Above him, that makes more sense. At the time, I think I
had
him
backwards. I'm sorry, I misspoke. I'm tired.
At the time, I think I had him closer to 36, as a kind of in that pass catching, lower end RB3. Like I have Gordon down there, your Gus Edwards, Chase Edmonds of the world, James Robinson's. I was like, he's fine to take a chance on there, but I just kind of feel differently about Lindsey and what we're hearing lately. That's all the news I got.
Okay, that's all the news to be had, apparently. Let's move on to, you wanted to talk about Jalen Hurts and the fact that you have him at RB. Well, kind of RB 20.
Yeah, right.
Running back 20. Or
quarterback 20.
Quarterback 20. It's all these B's. And I have him at 15. I will justify my platform there, and this not in his throwing ability, because like we've covered in the past, his accuracy in college wasn't all that great, but the guy has some legs and he can run. And because the quarterback position is broken in fantasy football, he could run for 700-800 yards potentially. I don't really know what's going to happen with this Philly team. It sounds like they're a bit in shambles at their offensive line position and at their wide receiver position as well. But who's to say that Jalen Hurts can't be quarterback 15? I mean, I have him right above Ryan Fitzpatrick. The only reason to put Fitzpatrick below him was the running ability of Hurts. the potential running ability. Let's put it that way. I mean, that's kind of how I feel about Jalen Hurts. With the running and all that. But back to Ryan Fitzpatrick though, that it's just like all this rumors about Tyler Heineke being, and maybe it's just camp fluff, but it sounds like maybe he might be the real deal. I'm a little skeptical, but it was just enough to put Ryan Fitzpatrick below Jalen Hurts for me. What how do you feel about Jalen Hurts? I mean, you have him 5 spots lower than me, and he's your quarterback
Mm.
20, so.
Yeah. Just a lot of concern for the offense overall. I did try to raise him based on exactly what you said. Just the fact that, hey, if you're really kind of putting on quarterback, you want a guy that can run around. Quarterback scoring's kind of broken, but the guys I have ahead of them, I just still feel better about them, even though they're more traditional passers like Derek Carr and Mayfield. And again, this is in QB 17, 18, 19, 20 territory. It's not like we're drafting our top guy here. This is kind of 2 QB territory or superflex territory and streaming territory really, if things shake out that way. So that's where I'm at with Hurts. It's just kind of concern for the offense overall.
Cool. There is one thing that we kind of forgot to mention in the news segment is that Kerryon Johnson, running back formerly of the Detroit Lions and now formerly of the Philadelphia Eagles, has been cut. Yeah. He got an injury settlement from the Eagles, and he is no longer with the team. That's not to say that I've seen guys get this, and it's pretty rare, but I've seen guys get it and then re-sign with the team later on, and like right before the season starts. I just think that from what I heard, it's that Kerryon Johnson was having a hard time making it up the depth chart, anyways.
Mm-hmm.
And because of that reason, that's one of the reasons why I raised Miles Sanders too. I mean, he's now at my I believe it's running back 19. And before I had him in the 20s, like in the upper 20s, but still in the 20s. I think he was just outside RB2 territory. And I felt like the hate was going a little too far on this guy. I'm not really in love with the Philly offensive line, but at the same time, I still believe that this guy has talent. What do you think?
I'm right there with you. I'm at RB20. Some other names we'll mention later. I just kind of was moving them around. I'm a little low on Gaskin than I was previously. So just kind of attrition helps raise Sanders, but I also feel like, yes, I agree with you. He's a talented dude. Whether I feel that Hurts is the answer or Hurts is going to have a good fantasy season doesn't necessarily sink Sanders' ship, so to speak. Wow, that was a lot of S's. So yeah, I think some of that talent can rise to the top. And again, we're talking about guys that are in the neighborhood of not even being the starting running backs on their own teams, or even being more like a 60-40 guy, like a Kareem Hunt, or Mostert maybe. We both kind of think Mike Davis won't necessarily be a bell cow or 3-down guy, what have you. He's going to probably have some help. So he's in that neighborhood of guys. So I just felt like of those guys, he's worth taking a chance on maybe more than the others. And right behind a bunch of starters is kind of where he's sitting.
Right on.
Yeah, right at the end of RB2.
I'm gonna lead off because, like I said, rough week of work. But I would really like to talk about some running backs. And speaking of running backs, I would like to talk about Alvin Kamara. I have him at RB9 going into draft season. You have him at RB3. That might not sound a lot. It's only 6 spots, but I mean, when you're talking about RB3 versus RB9, like that's a big difference right there. That's a lot.
Yeah.
I think that's a lot bigger difference than RB13 versus RB19. Still
It's
a big difference.
It's a lot bigger than the number 6 makes me think. And I've noticed that when going through rankings. Like if it's 3, I'm like, that's not a huge difference. But you start getting much past 3 or 4, and it means something, especially at the top, like you said.
Yeah, and I'm going to give you my reasoning, and then why don't you give me yours, and we'll just kind of agree to disagree on this one. And so part of my philosophy or my thinking is on Kamara is that Kamara has been really good with Drew Brees at the helm. He's been really elite with Drew Brees at the helm. And why has he been elite with Drew Brees at the helm? Because he's a really great pass catcher.
Mhm.
And I wanted to, like, without watching oodles of game film, I just kind of wouldn't want to dive into his like rushing ability and everything. And once again, not a lot of prep time this week. But I just looked at Pro Football Focus real quick just to kind of see where they graded him as a runner. Like overall, Pro Football Focus has him as their seventh best running back coming out of 2020. Now, if you click on that sort button for how he grades out as just as a runner, as a running back, he
Mhm.
is 19th. He received a grade of 79.9. Here's some guys who are graded as better runners than Alvin Kamara. Just listen to me real quick. Samaje P. Ryan. When was the last time you heard about Samaje P. Ryan? That was like 2 years ago, the last time I heard his name.
Mhm.
Alexander Madison, a backup. David Montgomery. We both agree, not that great. The illegitimate father of your firstborn daughter, Melvin Gordon, is a better runner according to PFF than Alvin Kamara. Gus Edwards, a guy who we both like, you slightly more than me, I think, but still, these are all like arguable. Like, and granted, I gave you the worst names out of the group, but still, I was just like, wow, that's an interesting group of runners that are supposedly better than Kamara.
Mhm.
Um, and I know like he is an elite pass catcher as a running back and everything, and I get that. But when you put into, I would rather have to put it into context. I have Nick Chubb above Kamara, and Nick Chubb, yeah, he's not the greatest pass catcher, but Nick Chubb is also on an offense that I believe in more 2021 season than I
Mhm.
do with the New Orleans Saints. I still don't know who the quarterback is going to be for the New Orleans Saints.
Mhm.
If it's going to be Jameis Winston, I'm willing to raise him up a little bit. If it's going to be Taysom Hill, I think he's going to stay right where he is. I just don't. When you take into account the fact that Alvin Kamara is not the greatest runner at the running back position, granted that is room for interpretation in this day and age. Um,
Right.
And by that I mean like he could easily just line up in the slot or just catch passes out of the backfield. But if it's Taysom Hill, and we've kind of covered this before, mobile quarterbacks don't check down, or stereotypically don't check down to their running backs like Drew Brees used to do with Alvin Kamara. They
Mhm.
run the ball instead.
Mhm.
Jameis Winston, on the other hand, has more of a tendency, could have more of a tendency to do so.
Mhm.
And if you're not having Alvin Kamara catching 80 passes, I know you're about to say, yeah, they're like without Michael Thomas, they're who else are they going to throw to? They still have Traquan Smith. Yeah, I know, not a sexy name anymore. Everyone wants to like give up on Traquan Smith, but he's still there. We still got my guy, Deontay Harris. Yeah, he's really small and really fast. But I mean, Deontay Harris is more or less Darren Sproles, I think. Like I watch Deontay Harris and I just see Darren Sproles. You know where Darren Sproles got his chops? With Drew Brees. I know it's not Drew Brees is not there anymore, but still, I don't know, man. I'm just when push comes to shove, I'd rather have the 8 running backs above Alvin Kamara than Alvin Kamara, and all the running backs above him are great names. It's not like I'm putting David Montgomery above him, you know. I just what do you think, man? Why don't you say your spiel, and we'll give the audience, the other side of the coin.
Mhm. I think Camaro is a much better runner than you or PFF is giving him credit for. Just because he doesn't do it all the time doesn't mean he can't. I think he has the pedigree. I think he's got amazing strength and balance. More importantly, to the usage, I think Sean Payton is going to adjust the offense to fit his personnel, and I think we can all agree Kamara might be the best player on the whole. Well, on the whole that side of the ball. Let's not talk about defense because they've got some pretty darn good defenders. But Kamara is.
What about your boy Adam Troutman?
Again, Kamara is the
I'm
best
just
player on
joking,
offense. I think we can all agree on that. We've seen Sean Payton adjust his offense. So he goes from a Jimmy Graham to a Michael Thomas to a Drew Brees throwing, for 5,000 yards,
Trees.
5,000 yards every season to becoming a run-centric attack. He's going to adjust the offense to fit his personnel. There's a
Mm-hmm.
possibility both quarterbacks start. That doesn't mean that he's going to put in Jameis to throw to Kamara. I'm just saying it's probably going to be the first time you're going to see Kamara get over 200 carries in a season, get over 1,000 yards in a season. And if you do give him just those water benchmarks, he's already finishing last year in a down year without Breeze in running back 9. So I think he's going to have a great season, both catching the ball and on the ground, because the whole offense is going to run through him. Now health, of course, he's not a shining beacon of health there, but with Thomas out, I just think those targets are up for grab. I think Sean Payton will run the offense through him. They'll try to keep him healthy, so he's not a every down bang it into the goal line necessarily. We're not trying to remake the type of player he is, but I think he's going to get some more work on the ground because necessity.
Okay. Quick question for you, and then let's keep rolling.
Mm-hmm.
So by having Kamara at RB3, you're willing to be absolutely wrong on him. You like, and let me rephrase that.
I mean, you can say that about
you
any
think
player.
that you don't think that you are 100% absolutely right, and you're thinking on this, and that there's no room for anything that I just said. Because
no.
Because when at RB3, I think that you have to be 100% absolutely positive that you're. I mean, this is your third. This is the third pick of the first round.
Yeah, I'm positive.
That's what's.
I don't understand the question. I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm positive. Otherwise, I wouldn't have him there. I'm not saying
that means that you are 100% positive that this could not go wrong. That there is absolutely no universe.
Any of the negatives that you mentioned, right. If he gets only 80 catches or what have you, then he's going to make up for it on the ground. He's going to make up for it in opportunity. He's going to have.
And you think that is absolutely what's going to happen?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I guess I kind of have to do that with the top 12, 24, 36 picks. I don't know. I feel better about that than I do Nick Chubb and Zeke. I don't feel better about that than I do CMC and Cook. That's why he's at 3.
I was gonna,
and it's not like you buried him. It's not like you buried him. You've got him in the top 10, don't you? At 9, right? Yeah.
Yeah, so but RB9 usually goes like maybe in the beginning of the second, where I'm usually willing to be a little bit more wrong on. Like, like I'm more willing to be like, well, maybe that didn't quite work out. It's second round pick or end of the first. It didn't really. Like, I want something that I am definitely willing to just be 100% right on. And I mean, if it's wrong, then I'm just flabbergasted, like outside of injury, obviously. Injuries happen. You can't predict injuries. But if the workload doesn't show up, I'm like, what happened there? Like, that's weird. I just, what I'm saying?
We all know what Kamara's upside is. It's the RB1. Pretty sure he's done it before, has he not?
I think he did once.
Once, yeah.
Once upon a time.
Yeah, and again,
your point. I'm not trying to make a joke. I literally think.
I'm pretty sure I think he did once. Yeah, and I think to your point, it was in a great situation. Right? It was in a great situation.
No, that was CMC. I mean, I meant 2018, 2020.
I don't remember. Yeah. He had a backfield mate at the time. It was either Ingram or somebody else. But he was still amazing.
Latavius Murray, I think.
Was it? Okay, one of those two.
Yeah, I think you're really discounting. Like, I'm not all on board with Latavius Murray, but I think Latavius Murray has his role in this offense, and I think that you're really giving every.
Kamara's performed with Latavius Murray before, just like he's performed with Ingram before.
Well, of course he has.
Maybe in a top 5.
Because it's not 1975. Yeah,
and it's literally the same guy on the roster, so he's probably gonna have the same role, and he'll still excel. And he might get more play on the ground because, like I said, if they have to go more run heavy, if Taysom is the starter. I'm telling you, man, Sean Payton is just the type of b-hole to have a platoon all season of these two guys. Like, well, Jameis, if you're going to throw 30 interceptions, I'll just play half the time and you'll throw 15. I'll bring Taysom, won't let him throw it. I'll just do shovel passes.
So
I'll just do shovel passes to Kamara.
Answer me one more question. One more question. Let's move on. Who do you think wins the starting quarterback job? And the fact that we even have to ask this in like August 19th
Can I say both?
A little bit sketchy.
Can I say both?
No, you can't. That is not an option at all.
Let it be known that's who I really think is going to win. I think he's just crazy enough to do that. I think he's going to do it.
It's not going
if you made me choose, it's Jameis.
And if it's Jameis, I want to bring Alvin Kamara up my ranks. If it's Taysom Hill, he's gonna stay at 9, and I kind of think it's gonna be Taysom Hill to start the season. It's gonna be a mistake. I think this team not going after at least even a developmental quarterback in the draft was a huge mistake. But whatever, I'm not their GM. Let's move on to who did you want to talk about next, Chris?
I've got 4 running backs. Sorry, my document was all off to the side there. I've got
I said who, not in your entire rankings.
No, I'm just saying, as far as running backs go, I've got Eckler. But I do kind of touch on a couple of guys here because we're kind of touching on already this important part of the draft. So Eckler, they've really improved the offensive line, as in my eyes. Rashawn Slater, I think he was a first-round pick. Corey Linsley over from the Packers at center. I think Bulaga was there last year. So,
yeah,
but
sorry to interrupt, but just to put it into context, I believe PFF had Corey Linsley as one of their top 5, if not top 3 centers in all of football last year.
Yeah.
And the Packers let him go, and he went over to the Chargers.
Yeah.
Sorry, I just wanted to reiterate your point.
It's one of those examples of why Rodgers was upset. Whatever, like they let a lot of good players go. Don't discount the importance between center and quarterback. Like this is huge for Herbert. So I'm just kind of really re-emphasizing the fact I'm high on the Chargers offense. Eckler has rose up my rankings because of the likes of like our Saquons. I'm a little lower on Henry than most. In Josh's case, he's got concerns for Kamara. I get it. Like it's an important part of the draft. The position is really important to fantasy. So I'm trying to hammer down and whatever you call it, split some hairs, if you will. So that's why I am. Where am I at?
Already have Eckler there.
Yeah, it's like, where am I at on Eckler? On the left, Chris. So quick rundown. I've got CMC, Dalvin Cook, Kamara at 3, as we just discussed. Chubb at 4, Zeke at 5, Aaron Jones at 6, Derrick Henry at 7. I've got Austin Eckler at running back 8. To close out the top 12, I've got Gibson at 9, Jonathan Taylor at 10, Saquon at 11, and Joe Mixon at 12. So I've got Eckler at 8. So those are the reasons I've got Eckler there.
I'm just tired. Keep
it's
going.
Fine. It's fine.
It looks like I'm annoyed. I'm like, no, I'm just tired.
No, you're good. You're good. So we went over everything with Kamara. The other kind of, not a big mover per se, but I've got him locked in at number 2, Cook.
Can I interrupt you for a second?
Yeah, for sure. Mm-hmm.
I thought you had, like, you were like texting me the other day, and you're like, yeah, I have Eckler at like 5 or 4 or something like that. I was like, that's fucking great, dude. Like, I like the call.
I was being a little hyperbolic.
I was curious. That's great, dude. Like, you texted me the other day, and you were like, I have Eckler at like 4 or 5, and I'm like, dude, that's awesome. Like, I like the call, And I'm like, you inspired me to raise him, and I was just like, and then I see your rankings, I'm like,
he was like at 12.
Well, that jerk. He told me one thing, and then he did something completely different.
I hadn't physically, literally touched my rankings at that point. Like, if I tell you I'm moving him to 5, like I think I said 5 or 6 or 7. I don't remember what the actual message
You
said.
seriously inspired me. I was like, no, I like that take, and so I got him up to 5, and you're like, oh,
8.
He didn't follow through. Okay.
But I did.
Well, I'm like, no, I'm standing pat now. Like, I'm a believer. So keep going, man. Sorry.
All I'm trying to say is that, like, I think if you look at both of our top, really 12, well, maybe not the last couple, but our top 12 running backs, they're enough against consensus to be different. Like Eckler, like most folks don't have Eckler at 8. So Zeke was the other big mover that I wanted to talk about here. We already touched on Cook. It is what it is. I mean, to me, he's one of the most reliable options out there. His volume is guaranteed. I love Dalvin Cook this year, short of course CMC at number 1. So Zeke was the other big mover for me with Eckler. Like, I just couldn't bring myself to bring Eckler above Zeke. I think a lot of folks are kind of sleeping on Zeke, although he's risen to like 6 or 7, I think, in consensus. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Cowboys.
Yeah.
That's what I was gonna ask you. Oh, I just remembered it. Chris, have you ever cowboyed up?
I don't even know what that means.
I don't know either. I saw it in the back of someone's car. It said cowboy up, and I was like, okay.
Ask them. I don't know. I don't know. I haven't been a
I
Cowboy
was
for
hoping,
many years.
dude. You're from Texas. I thought maybe you'd know.
Nope. Nope.
Right.
I can't say I was never a Cowboy, but I'm not one to ask. Let's put it that way. I guess
You
I did
never
Cowboy Up.
cowboyed up. Okay. I don't know what that means.
Yes,
so, and
Josh,
I'm not
I
gonna
did
look it up
Cowboy
either.
Up. Yes, Josh, I have Cowboyed Up. You know how I Cowboyed Up? I've worked a rodeo a couple times.
Oh my God, you really have cowboyed it up.
Yeah,
Oh my,
yeah.
wow.
I've ridden some four wheelers.
I think that's exactly what it means. Everything you're just about to say.
Yeah, so I guess
Wow.
I have Cowboyed Up. But it's been a long time ago, folks. Don't get it twisted. I am a city boy through and through.
Wow.
So
I never thought of it that way, but okay. Yeah, okay, keep going. Sorry, I literally just remember that. Sorry, keep going.
So, I would just to say, like, as far as Eckler, I mean, I would use, kind of the argument about running. I mean, you don't expect much running from Kamara. It's definitely not Eckler's calling card. I mean, we're talking about what I'm talking about with Eckler is a historical.
He's made some great highlight plays, like running on the ground and through the tackles, whereas Kamara has not necessarily done a lot of through the tackle running plays.
I couldn't disagree more. I think Kamara's a better runner than Eckler. I think Eckler's going to have a great season on the ground, and I think he's also going to have a great season through the air. But not so much as much as I like Zeke. Like, I think Zeke is probably in for an 1,800-yard season on the ground. Could be like the 2016 year. The health of the O-line is as best as it's been in some time. Lyle Collins, Zach Martin, Tyron Smith is the healthiest they've been all year. Those are perennial all-pros, not pro bowlers, all-pros. And of course, the health of Dak and his ankles. So I think, most of the conjecture about last year, you can throw most of it out the window because he didn't have Dak and didn't have his own line. Both Amari and Zeke are slimmed down. Even a small improvement on defense could yield more opportunities for all the offense because they were bottom of the barrel.
Yep.
He's had 71 targets each of the past two seasons. He had 95 targets in 2018. So people tend to forget how good of a receiver he is, even with Pollard in town the last two seasons. Is this Zeke? Sorry. He has to have more touchdown upside based solely on Dak being back. Like, his touchdowns have actually been a bit sporadic or low the past 2 or 3 years. So I expect that to be higher too with Dak back. That's all I got.
Let's talk about Keenan Allen here. You got him at wide receiver. I almost said RB again. You have him at wide receiver 10. I have him at 14. Not a big difference, right?
Right.
It's only 4 spots, but you have him as, like wide receiver 10. Like that's wide receiver 1 territory. I have him at wide receiver 2. I think a lot of it, and I had to look into this. I really did, because I was like, I can't just be like, well, he just gets injured all the time, and he has had injury seasons. He's only finished with playing in 16 games, 3 times out of his 8 seasons. That's 37.5%, for those of you doing the math. And those were his best seasons. And last year was good too. He played in 14, if memory serves correct. Maybe it was 13. It was 14. And he had a good season. He actually had the most touchdowns out of his career last year with 8 in Herbie's rookie season. Herbie playing in 15 of those 16 games. Poor Tyrod Taylor. I'm sorry, Hurd Taylor. I just and it's just that little bit of an injury knock that just wanted me to bump him down just enough. And compared to from mine to yours, I was like, oh yeah, I mean, like I like you, and we can briefly touch on this here in just a second. So what we will just give it 1 second. So I have CD and Cooper Kupp and Robert Woods ahead of Keenan Allen, whereas you have Keenan Allen ahead of, just to kind of like give context where you have them. Like, you have Keenan Allen at 10, and then going down to your 14 spot, you have Keenan Allen, then Amari, then Terry McLaurin, then CD, and then Cooper Kupp. So like, not a big, like, more or less the same names in that range there, but you just have them slightly rearranged. So I mean, what makes you put Keenan Allen above those guys, whereas I have Keenan Allen below some of those guys? And I mean, throw Robert Woods in there. That's the outlier there of those names, but still, we won't talk about Woods right now.
I just don't think I don't think he has any competition outside of, I mean, Mike Williams will do fine. And I feel good about the young guy. I hear the young guy might take the Tennessee kid. Is it Palmer? Josh Palmer, maybe?
Josh Palmer.
I thought for sure I was going to get the last name wrong. So that's kind of where I'm at. Hunter Henry's out.
I don't,
gone.
and I don't. I'm
Oh,
sorry to
then
interrupt,
they
but I don't think people
didn't
should
pick him.
really sleep on Tyron Johnson either for the Chargers. Like between Mike Williams and Tyron Johnson and Josh Palmer, one of these, I really think that one of these guys with the absence of Hunter Henry is going to take off. I don't think it's going to be Jared Cook. He's the tight end that came in to replace Hunter Henry. I don't really think so. Jared Cook he's like 32, right? Something like that.
Yeah.
Younger than the both of us. Let's put it that way.
I think he's better than a stopgap. I mean, he's literally.
Oh no,
be
he's
a
a capable tight end. I just don't think he's that athletic enough to really take over that role. I think one of these three wide receivers, is going to quickly just to kind of pivot away from Keenan Allen real quick, but stay on the Chargers. Which one of those three wide receivers would you rather have that are just going like real late in drafts? Just don't even look at your rankings. I'm not even going to look at your rankings.
Williams.
I'm not going to look at mine.
I'd say take the cheaper guy, but like Palmer is going to be, could potentially be. What's that?
I mean, we're talking like last pick of the last
that's
round.
That's what I'm saying. Like he's probably going undrafted. Yeah, so I don't want to take him. So I'd have to go defer to Mike Williams. I'm not a big fan.
I'm going to go. You know what? I'm going to go Tyron Johnson. I've been hearing some decent things coming out of camp and everything. Been I always keep my ear to the ground about other fantasy analysts. I don't listen to podcasts there's a couple that I listen to, but I read a lot of articles about everything football related at this time of year, just to kind of keep myself educated for upcoming drafts. And I've been hearing Tyron Johnson's name kind of be floating around out there every once in a while. So, I mean, it's just like a super late, like kind of fly. I know we're kind of skipping ahead here on this, but super late, like flyer kind of guy, Tyron Johnson, man, just a name to keep in mind. Sorry, let's go back to Keenan Allen. Sorry, I got off topic here.
That's more or less it. I mean, I think I think Allen's probably going to be playing with the best quarterback he's ever played with. I'm just going to put that out there. I know there's Phillip Rivers fans out there, but especially if you start talking about the last 3 or 4 years, which is probably the bulk of Keenan Allen's career, right? We could agree on that.
What's weird is because in the last 3 or 4 years is when Keenan Allen has been healthy and had his best numbers too.
Yeah, but
so I know what you're saying. Don't get me wrong.
And the last couple of things I'd say is that like. Yes, we want everybody we draft in the top 150 picks to play 16 games, but we all know that's not going to happen. And when I go back and look at fantasy statistics and I'm looking at like total points, I'm like, should I go by per game? Because sometimes you get like guys who played like 2 games in the per game, so you kind of have to like filter them out. So I usually end up going by total and like, oh, so-and-so only played 15. Oh, so-and-so running back only played 14, but he was still pretty good. So obviously I expect some of that to cancel out the tendency that he has to get dinged up, and hope that it's somewhere between a 15 and 17 game season, for goodness sakes. And just that volume and the talent and offense.
17 game season, yeah.
Yeah, and the offensive line, that we already touched on a couple times with Eckler and whatnot, and Herbert.
The unoffensive offensive line.
Yes, it's much less offensive than it was before.
I'm sorry. I'm spacing on who you wanted to talk about next.
Oh, because, Allen was yours. I did my RBs there. The Dolphins running backs.
Oh, yes.
As we touched on just a tad earlier in the show, I've lowered Gaskin a little. I
did as well.
Yeah, I'm keeping my eye, and I kind of was weeks before that. I just was reminding folks that last year he was a right guy, right place kind of guy. Like, I'm not saying he was a world beater. Never was on that.
Also a guy that you got off the waiver wire, a waiver wire darling, as some might say.
Yes, that value was. So quick little rundown of their usage this last game, which I feel like, was this the second preseason game or the first? No, it was the first.
I think it was their first.
Yeah, so I guess what I'm getting at is I guess the second will be their dress rehearsal. Anyway, I thought it was telling that the Dolphins had a laundry list of clear starters that they weren't playing in the game. Gaskin had to play. Do you see where I'm getting at there? I understand there's always 2 ways to look at that, but lots of times when you see a guy getting rest in the preseason, it's a good thing because he's a locked-in starter and they're not risking it. I don't think that's necessarily the case with Gaskin, but as far as my rankings go, he is still the starter. Let me be clear. So the usage in this last preseason game, Gaskin gets
Hit me with
16
it.
Gaskin gets 16 snaps, 4 carries. Ahmed, gets 12 snaps, 6 carries. Malcolm Brown, who started the game, got 16 snaps, 9 carries. Now, that 9 carries went for only 8 yards. And Ahmed was clearly the best of all three of them. He was clearly the most efficient.
Quick pronunciation interjection.
Yes.
Ahmed.
So Ahmed got 12 snaps,
draw
6
it out a little
carries. Yeah, and he clearly played the best. Now, he wasn't playing against the Bears starters like you assume Brown and Gaskin were, of course. But that worries me with Gaskin. He only gets 4 carries, and yet he got 16 snaps. I get it. So, I'm not changing my rankings yet because, as I said, Gaskin is still a starter in my eyes, but I like the value.
You just said you lowered him.
I did lower him because of this news. I thought it was a little concerning. I thought the percentages could work less in his favor than maybe I felt before. The snap percentage.
I think you mean to say you're not drastically changing your rankings.
Yeah, I don't.
Okay.
I can pull that up, but I lowered him some. I'm not drastically.
I did as well.
Lowering him, saying he's not the starter anymore. But I've got my ears to the tracks. I mess that saying up every time.
You do. It's
like I've got three of them going through my head.
I don't remember where you had Gaskin before, but I think we were roughly both around like RB16. You now have him at 19, and I have him at 21.
Yep, that sounds about right. Yes.
So
meaning where we had him before.
Just to kind of give context of that. Yeah.
Yes, I did. I forgot to mention that. Thank you.
We both lowered him.
Yeah.
Who else do you have here? There were a couple other situations you wanted to talk about that it was like, yeah, we probably should talk about those.
I've got him at 22. I might have lowered him a little bit before the show. Anyway.
Oh, my bad.
It's fine. No, I think I did before I talked to you. I'm sorry.
Probably.
Was I up next? Oh, Dolphins running backs. That was more or less it. Yep, I got all in the usage and the carries, so keep your eye out for that, folks. Where are we going next?
I'm asking you.
Oh, Jags receivers is who I've got up here next.
Yes,
Another, kind of a murky situation, if you will.
Can I interject real quick before you start? Apparently, I don't have time, and nor am I very interested in watching preseason games, although I should be. But at the same time, like, it's hard to tell sometimes when you're watching a preseason game what level of defense an offensive starter is playing against, in the sense of Trevor Lawrence, and apparently he didn't have the greatest. It wasn't terrible from what I read, but it also wasn't that great of a start against whoever they played against. The Bears, right?
Recall. Sounds right.
Yeah,
the two of them versus each other. Okay.
It wasn't the Bears, but I don't remember who it was. But anyways, so I take it with a grain of salt of Trevor Lawrence's what he did in that first preseason game that's up and coming week when he plays again will be more telling. But apparently, I just wanted to throw that out there that it was just like, wasn't that great, but he's still a rookie. And even though he was probably supposedly the best rookie prospect in the last like 5 years, even then, like Peyton Manning had a really bad rookie season and ended up being one of the greatest quarterbacks to ever play the game.
Yeah, it's a little too early to. Yeah, exactly. All right, where were we?
Go with your thing here.
Jaguars receivers. Some more care hearing about Chenault. I'm sorry, a little bit of quick background where I've got him here.
Keep going. I'll look it up.
Wide receiver 33. I've still got him as my first Jaguars receiver. I've got Chark at 35.
Very interesting, yes.
I'm
not saying you were necessarily wrong. I just find it very interesting that that's where you went with that.
Well, I like the talent in Chenault more, but I'm giving it a little bit of pushback in terms of what his role may be. But I'm still not that high on Chark, kind of because what you just said. I might be concerned about the offense more than I initially thought.
And the thing is, too, that we didn't say at the top because we talked about on the stream on Sunday versus in the news segment here, which, quick plug there, on Sundays we're doing mock drafts. And then once regular season starts, it will be more or less a injury news segment and ask a friend sort of thing right here in our YouTube channel. But we did say that in the stream on Sunday that DJ Chark did break his finger and he had surgery for it. He's expected to be back for week 1. But it sounds like he's going to miss the majority of the rest of preseason, action. So
with a rookie quarterback,
that is very crucial for a wide receiver and potentially their wide receiver 1
Right. That's a
to
fair way to
work
put it,
with
for
their
sure.
new rookie quarterback. It's not like he's a veteran quarterback coming to a different team. I mean, this is a rookie coming out of college.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of like it's an interesting take on Chenault versus DJ Chark, and maybe I mean, we're only 4 spots different on Chark, but no, keep
Fair.
going, man. What were
Um,
you gonna say about Chenault?
as I said, the more I hear he might be moving into the big slot, that concerns me a little bit. On top of that, you've got like this kind of like Tavon Austin played really well in a preseason game. I'm not saying he's taking Chenault's role. I'm just saying I worry a little bit about Urban Meyer getting a little cute. He's got this Travis Etienne kind of
Wait.
Percy
Sorry,
Harvin
sorry.
role out there.
Did you just? Were you comparing Chenault to Tavon Austin? Were you saying that Tavon
No, I'm
Austin's on the
comparing
team?
that the gadget player. I'm saying Tavon Austin is on the team.
Okay, sorry, I misheard you. I'm sorry, I misheard you. I'm like, wait a minute. Tavon,
Let me phrase it better.
I thought
No,
he'd been
he's on the
bounced
team.
out.
He's on the team. Yes. Tavon Austin is on the Jaguars. In fact, I think he's
Wait,
listed at let me finish. Tavon Austin is on the Jaguars. He played well, whatever night that was, and he might actually be listed at running back if I'm not mistaken. But I'm not saying he's taking Chenault's role. I'm just saying Urban Meyer kind of has this obsession with this Percy Harvin hybrid receiver running back role, and a lot of the fantasy community feels like Chenault should be in this role, and he's got size. However, the fact that he may be relegated to a big slot role worries me a little bit, not to mention ADP. That's where Chark really turns me off. Not to get on ADP, because that's, we'll be talking about that next week. But so I kind of come full circle back to I worry about Darrell Bevel maybe running the ball more than we thought, and Jones might end up becoming the better value in like the 9th round, just like as a just kind of forget about all of them. Not all of them. Forget about the top 2 guys that are too expensive. So yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm smirking because I'm thinking about the new segment when Tim Tebow, they thought they were going to work him on a tight end. I'm like,
and Tavon Austin is playing. Yeah, it's like
that's what I was just like. I mean, it's
just like this conglomerate of athletes, like they're not.
It's like Urban Meyer walked into this
established.
team and he was just like, "There's guys on this team, and I hate them all. I want my guys." I'm like, "Don't be a John." I almost said Madden. Sorry, Madden comes out in like 51 minutes as of right now. Don't be a John Gruden, and it's just like, I'm gonna get my guys in here and blah blah blah, and it's just like, dude, you have talent around you, just utilize it. Like, if you, I'm sorry, like I'm not going down this rabbit hole other than to say that it's a pretty bad coach that if you don't like the talent around you and you can't utilize it because it doesn't fit your scheme, that maybe your scheme should go into the dumpster.
Absolutely. I mean, there's folks concerned that they're going to shoehorn Chenault into this gadgety role instead of,
which he can do though.
Oh, he absolutely can. But he showed last year that he can play a legit receiver.
He can run the ball. He can catch it out of the backfield and everything. They were doing that. I'm sorry, I don't remember who the head coach was last year, but yeah, he can do that. That's why I'm just like, why are you
getting all?
Why
is
all this
dudes?
Talk about Kadarius Toney and your wide receiver one bust Tavon Austin there.
And you take a running back when you kind of didn't need one, and then you tell us you're going to put him in the slot. I'm sorry, I thought Chenault was in the slot. It's like, come on, or Chenault or whatever. Yeah, so
we're going to keep calling him Chenault because I'll just kind of make it a real soft T, like a Chenault.
There you go. So just to put a bow on it, I've got him at I've got Chenault at wide receiver 33. Keeping an eye out. If I have to push him outside of wide receiver 3 territory.
Where do you have Chark and where do you have Marvin Jones?
I think I mentioned it a moment ago, but to close out, I've just had you. Where'd you go, Chark? Oh, just two spots below at wide receiver 35, albeit in a different tier. Then I've got Marvin Jones down at wide receiver 47.
And to just give everyone where I have him, I have Chark at 31. Probably should be a little bit lower, but that's okay. And then I have Chenault, let me scroll down, at 51 and Marvin Jones at 62, which Marvin Jones needs to be way higher. Like this guy weaves fantasy wide receiver magic and somehow ends up as like a very relevant at least. And if it's only for 5 games, he's still fantasy relevant in 5 games, like every single year that he's not injured, which has been pretty rare actually.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's just had a long, illustrious career. I'm just kind of worried that maybe Marvin Jones is
Just a
hitting
two.
those twilight years.
Oh, that's fair. Yeah, that's fair. Always been a fast guy, though.
That's my concern.
Yeah, yeah. They're gonna like his veteran
Why don't we
presence,
move
though.
on to let's move on to some tight ends real quick.
Let's do it. Let's do it. You got one you want to throw out first? You want me to go?
Yeah, I would like to talk about Travis Kelce. Travis Kelce is my number one tight end.
The guy.
Going into the 2021 season. But in all seriousness, we could go down the Kyle Pitts road again. I'm actually raising on Pitts in the sense that, like, if they're going to use him more as a wide receiver, and I don't like him being designated as a tight end, and to get outside of fantasy football for just 1 second, I really think that Kyle Pitts is going to get reclassified as a wide receiver at some point before the end of his rookie contract, and the team's going to fight it, and it's going to go into some sort of legal litigation. Just
but
like
I don't
Jimmy
think
Graham
there was any
with the
pushback
Saints.
from himself. Like, I think if that were the case, don't you think as a rookie draft
Nope,
pick, he'd
nope, because I
put
think he
his
was just trying to get drafted as whatever. But now, because Jimmy Graham went through this when he was with the Saints,
Well, that came specifically down to
because
the
they were using
contract,
him
yeah.
75% in the slot as a wide receiver. He was trying to get reclassified to get a bigger payday, but they wouldn't, and so he got a smaller payday. Because
I think from both the players and the team's perspective, they legitimately want to see how it works first. They want to see if he can put a little more meat on his bones. And hey, he's a tall guy. He's a big guy, and he's not like rail thin. Let's not be overzealous here. But he's not a blocker. He's not a. Hey, dude,
Devonta Smith.
Yeah, he's not Devonta Smith by any means. So, NFL weight room could do him a world of good after his first couple seasons.
Yep.
Technique.
Can I interrupt you real quick? Sorry, this
sure.
was supposed to be really quick. Sorry. I
was almost
done.
done.
Supposed to be real quick. Okay, sorry. Sorry, go ahead.
All I was going to say was I'm old enough to be around when Tony Gonzalez came into the league, and he was not Mr. Hall of Fame tight end right off the bat. He was skinny, he couldn't block, and they had to bring him along. And remember, this is in the 90s, so it wasn't as common to have this tweener. Yeah, it might have actually been late 80s. Don't quote me on that.
No, okay, no.
All right, 92.
No.
92. Finally, Lance, look it up.
What year do you think Tony Gonzalez got drafted?
92.
I haven't looked it up yet. I'm going to say it was 1998. Closest person, non-price right rules. I haven't looked it up yet. I honestly haven't.
I might be way off. I'm a little concerned. I'm sticking to my guns because I'm usually good at this sort of thing, but let's go.
Snickers
that's all
ice
I'm
cream
saying.
bar. Here we go. Tony Gonzalez got drafted in 1997. That goes to me.
We were both off, yeah. Darn it.
But I was
off like a decade. I was off like a decade. Sorry, folks.
You're off 5 years, dude. But yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, 5 years. Point is, he was skinny. He couldn't block worth a lick. He became a very serviceable blocker. In fact, in his later years in Atlanta, I think he was pretty good because technique was very sound at that point in his career, you know. Well,
I think at that point he was a tactician or a technician versus an athlete.
Exactly. So that is all to say, I think the team and the player will both want to make sure he can play the position. However, yes, he'll be split out a lot. He'll be all over the field. He'll run the ball.
Dude, 17 years, Tony Gonzalez. That's amazing.
Yeah. He's I kid when I say I think Witten is, because I don't really think Witten is. That's just me making people upset because I'm a Cowboys
Tony Gonzalez had 2 years
he might be my
that he had less than 100 targets.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely, and a pillar of health too. Oh my god!
And this was before Gates. This was before Witten was catching 90 balls. This was before Kyle Pitts. This was before all these guys were these kind of tweeners. He was something else, man. But he didn't come out like gangbusters.
Let's keep moving on.
Yeah,
we were talking about tight ends. Not Tony Gonzalez.
No, we finished up Pitts. I think we were good with Pitts, right? Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
So
I'm rising, but I'm still not drafting him.
He's in tight end 9 for, I think it was 9. Yeah.
For me,
so that's reasonable.
I'm still not drafting him though. He's got to really fall, and he's not going to. You have him at 5, and that's where everyone is like more or less drafting him.
Yeah, I think I feel good about him being right behind Hawkinson. Yeah.
No, thank you.
I still feel better about Hawkinson. So next guy I want to talk about is Goddard. And this is going to be a pretty quick one. This is more of a public service announcement. I feel like hopefully his ADP is trending downward, but I just think he's still being drafted too high. He's being drafted like as if Ertz is like alive, and Ertz is there, healthy, and I have and blonde, healthy and blonde, and I have concerns they're going to more or less kind of run this offense through him. Josh mentioned earlier how this personnel, this offensive grouping is kind of up in the air. Like, what are we doing here? Like, is Hurts really going to be able to steer this ship for the next few years? I don't think so. We've got an undersized, speedy wide receiver. Desean Jackson is back, is he not? They've always
no. Desean Jackson he's in
the Rams.
With the
He's
LA
at the Rams. Wrong season. Sorry, folks.
That was last year.
To be fair, he's moved around a lot.
I will give you that point.
So I just think Goddard's ADP is crazy right now. I think I lowered him on my rankings. Now he's sniffy. He's kind of just outside. Forgive me. That is your rankings. I think I have him just outside tight end 1.
Yep,
yeah, tight end 13. Tight end 13. And I don't feel great about Troutman. We'll get into that later. So my tight ends have been shaken up a little bit. Don't draft Goddard, guys. Just don't. I think I might even lower him more. I think he's going in for an awful season. Not awful statistically, but just a frustrating fantasy season because of the two-headed monster there.
And here's the thing too is that so Jalen Hurts. I'm going to pull these numbers off the top of my head without looking them up because we did touch on them before in a previous episode. But Jalen Hurts, Dallas Goddard, and Zach Ertz, they did coexist for like 2 games, and Jalen Hurts was still like throwing to them at like 55% accuracy at best. Like that's Jalen Hurts' game. Like,
well said.
Unless he pulls a Josh Allen from last year and completely turns around his accuracy, which
like
he never was
points
in college. And Jalen Hurts had, like, not to circle this back around to Jalen Hurts discussion, but Jalen Hurts played with Jalen Waddle. That's a lot of Jalen's. That's 2 Jalen's there. But he also played with CeeDee Lamb too, right? Right?
No, CeeDee's Oklahoma.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he did play with CeeDee Lamb.
CeeDee's Oklahoma. CeeDee's from Oklahoma, not Alabama.
And was still below 60% completion percentage. Right. And so it's just like, I just don't know. Like, to reiterate your point, can Jalen Hurts really support Zach Ertz and Goddard and
fantasy receiver Smith
and Devonta Smith and or
Sanders,
Jalen Reagor and even to an extent where it might be 1 week for one guy, 1 week for another, and 1 week for another, and 1 week for the fourth one? Can it really even be that, or is it just a fantasy quagmire, for lack of a better term? Yep. I think we're exactly on the same page on this one, Chris. Like, it's kind of a state. Like, I think outside of like, maybe if you can get a steal on Jalen Hurts just because of running ability at quarterback, cool. And maybe if you can find Miles Sanders at a price that you're really super comfortable with, cool. Otherwise, just stay away.
Yep.
And until we get some better information. We might have better information in a couple weeks. But yeah, for now, there's that.
Or they trade for Deshaun Watson. I'm just kidding.
Let's real quick. You wanted to talk about Cole Kmet, and you kind of talked about Troutman.
Yeah,
we both have his name misspelled, and it's with an A, and I don't know, but whatever.
Is it really? So real quick, we're low on time, so I wanted to hammer down on. We have a bet on Troutman and Kmet, but also I've been changing my opinion on both of them. He's team.
He tried to take the bet back.
No, I did not. He's lying. I literally said I would never do that.
Who are you going to believe, folks? Me or this guy
but
over there?
I won't let a bet get in the way of me telling our listeners the right thing to do, or changing my own opinion to tell to draft the right way. So I'm changing my opinion on both of them a little bit. Bear with me here. So again, I'm going to go off some preseason usage here. Not the end all be all, but it's an indication a lot of times, especially when they choose to put those players out there to compete for positions. So with the 20 snaps they had with the starting quarterback, which was Taysom Hill.
Sorry.
It's okay. With the 20 snaps they had with Taysom, the starting quarterback, or first team snaps, whatever you want to call them, Troutman got 20 snaps, which is pretty good. 25%.
He got outplayed by what's his face?
Well, there was another tight end there too. I think it's Ryan Griffin or something, but that was neither here nor there in this particular thing. But
he's more of a blocker.
Juwan Johnson, a converted wide receiver. Yeah, a converted wide receiver. Could be a problem if Troutman loses really any receiving work to this guy. That could be bad because we're already talking about a run-heavy attack. Remember, as we talked about, it could be Taysom. I like Kamara to kind of lead the attack here. Could be they've been a run-heavy team for quite a few years now. Out of the third downs, though, that were with the starting quarterback, Taysom, so the passing downs, if you will, Troutman gets 0 snaps and Juwan was on the field for all 4 of them. The Saints could also be playing slower this year. The Saints could be playing slower.
That could be the New Orleans football team this year. The Saints.
Well, I'm not going to go quite. Well, win-loss, I don't know.
It might be who ain't.
Right. But I'm just saying they could play slower this year. They could lean on that defense some more, as I mentioned already, lean on that run game a little more. So now you're like less volume. Now I'm taking, I don't know, red zone snaps away from Troutman for this Juwan Johnson guy who apparently played pretty well. So it's a little concerning. So then to touch on Kmet real quick on kind of your side of the argument, your side of the bet is I don't want to get into quarterbacks again, but I'm of the frame of mind. I think Fields is going to take the starting job from week 1. So I'm not necessarily I'm not moving these guys too much. But when it comes to a guy near him, like a Troutman that I'm kind of obviously lowering, it makes Kmet go higher. So I think Kmet I've got just inside my tight end ones. No, I've still got him at tight end 14. So I'm probably going to be moving him.
I actually lowered Kmet because I was just like,
basically this 11 through 14 area, Higbee, Troutman, Goddard, Kmet is, I'm going to blow the whole thing up. I'm going to raise Kmet inside the tight end 1, inside the top 12. I'm lower, probably Higbee and Troutman.
Here's the thing that I'm sorry, like, just to quickly pivot. The thing I was like, what? I mean, if you were watching my face, I was like, you don't have Anthony Firkser in your tight end rankings at all.
My bad.
Oh,
you could probably slot him in that
I didn't know if that was on purpose or I feel like
I heard some negative news from him recently, but that has nothing to do with him being omitted. I think it was just an oversight.
I just and Firkser is one of those guys that I'm just like, he's more or less free. I think.
I was just going to say, I mean, to be fair, he is pretty low.
And it was just yeah. Same with Kmet. As Kmet's going more or less free too. Like I think he's creeping up in ADP a little bit.
Yeah, let's watch that. Mm-hmm.
But I mean, and we'll address that next week maybe.
Sure.
But I mean, like, if you're going like we talked about last week with like some draft advice, if you're completely punting on tight end, like, I don't know if I want to go Kmet and Firkser, but I would rather go like maybe Jonnu and Kmet or Firkser.
Yeah.
Than both of those. I don't think Kmet and Firkser are both going to hit week 1.
I think I'd like to
in week 2. But
I think I'd like to jot down a note a couple of these key situations we've talked about. We want to come back to, like this Troutman Kmet. I think there was a couple running back ones earlier, and just kind of like.
I'm sorry, I think you mean Troutman.
Troutman.
And
then
half man.
And then come back whether it's on a stream or a show or just in Discord or whatever. I just kind of like to hammer down on some of those before. September. But anyway, that's all I got on tight ends. If you don't have
anything else, anything else you want to touch on real super quick, like lightning round, blah, blah, blah.
4 lightning round, a lightning round of 4 guys, 4 honorable mentions. Tariq Cohen, still banged up. I'm raising a little bit on Damian Williams. I'm not the biggest Montgomery fan in the world. So just guy, keep an eye on. He's showed us his capabilities with Kansas City and whatnot. And I feel pretty good about Chicago offense this year because of the quarterback.
I'll get you a buzzer for a lightning round.
Mac, just a forgotten guy. I think I'm forgetting about Mac. I think. I know Wilkins is still
Marlon Mack?
Marlon Mack. I'm sorry. Yes, Marlon Mack is. I know
guy I can always remind you about when you talk about your love for Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to bury Taylor for my love for Mac. I'm just saying it might be a guy, good dart throw, talented guy. It's a little bit of a crowded running back room, but maybe something shakes up before the end of preseason with like Jordan Wilkins.
Maybe, perhaps.
Yeah, maybe a handcuff, but you still have Jordan Wilkins and Naheem Hines there. I mean, I'm not claiming we have room for all 4 or even 3 to be happy, but
I think Wilkins got cut in the offseason.
Did he?
I can't remember.
I thought I saw him playing just the other day. I thought I saw him playing. But anyway, point is, hopefully Mac takes that 3rd place job or whatever, the backup behind Taylor, and Hines' role is what it is. It's not going anywhere. Anyway, last 2 guys, Michael Pittman, again, just a forgotten guy. I've really glossed over him. And the last one is, while on that tight end discussion, I'm going to start raising on Logan Thomas, like his snap share was amazing previously.
Yeah. And maybe it's just because Ryan Fitzpatrick hasn't played with very good tight ends, and he did work with Gesicki rather well in Miami.
Yeah, but with Samuel out, I don't know.
Like sometimes a quarterback using a tight end is just not a thing, and sometimes it is, and sometimes just like, well, I didn't have a very good tight end.
I think they'll also split him out at receiver a lot. Absolutely, because he used to be a quarterback, for goodness sakes.
Well, especially if Curtis Samuel doesn't make it back by the beginning of the season too.
That's what I said.
It's a good thing to keep an eye on,
for sure. And given that I'm lowering some of my tight ends at the bottom 12,
let's close out this show. Let's call it a day. That guy over there, he's been Chris. This guy over here, he's been Josh. We are Amazing Fantasy Football. We love you for tuning in, whether in podcast format, and if that you are listening to us in podcast format, you can always check us out on the YouTube channel. Just go to youtube.com TV. Is it TV or com? I can't remember.
I think YouTube links are not easy to do like that. Twitch is easy. Twitch is like twitch.tv/ etc.
Anyways, go to YouTube and go to
name
your
of the
YouTube
channel
app
is Amazing
and search
Fantasy
for
Football.
Amazing Fantasy Football. That is us.
Link in the description.
We have a stream on Sundays. We just started restreaming this past Sunday. We will be streaming again this coming Sunday. If you're listening to us on Monday for whatever reason, check us out the following Sunday. You can still watch that video too of the stream. I mean, we just kind of goof around. We're doing mock drafts at the moment. I think I want to do a little segment on running back handcuffs this coming Sunday in between some mock drafts that we're going to do. Because sometimes handcuffs are relevant and sometimes they're just, what is a handcuff and what guys aren't. Anyways, if you're watching us in YouTube format, you can always check us out in podcast format, pretty much wherever you get podcasts. You can even get your podcast from Carl behind your local Burger King. Carl. He has our podcast. He'll hand you a flash drive with our. I don't know why he's going to give you a flash drive, but whatever. He might even just text you our podcast. It's a podcast. It's a pretty relatively small file size. Anyways, until next time, everyone. COVID sounds like it's kicking back up again, so I'm going to go back to get vaccinated and start wearing a mask again, folks. Please, I have gone back to wearing a mask while I'm public. I encourage everyone else to do the same. Please, for the safety of yourself, your loved ones, and just the general strangers around you, even though those strangers might be jerks, they don't deserve getting sick. So, until next time, everyone, have a good one.
Later, everybody.
I'm so tired.